Hello, Fightful Faithful. Welcome to the first show with my new mic. Let's see how it goes. I don't know. We're testing things out. It's got a funny button on it that makes me go quiet. Like, I don't know. We'll try it out. Listen, I feel like this is the best show for me to do silly, weird things with a new piece of equipment because why not? It's
On this
NXT.
show? In this economy?
Yeah,
My
good.
microphone broke on Friday, so
Ooh,
I have
that's
my
not good.
headphones in. It is
that's
not
not
good,
good.
but we've got a replacement coming. Life's all right.
Good. Oh, I'm Alex, and this is Kate. How's it going, everybody? Kate, you want to do the rest of the thing?
Hey, this is your NXT post show for Tuesday, June 27th. We've got week 2 of Gold Rush. Guys, get into your super chats and your humper chats at humperchats.com. Tell us your question or comment or get your statement read on air. We've had a heck of a wrestling weekend. I had Collision Saturday, Forbidden Door Sunday. We had Raw yesterday, and we have NXT today. This is one of those runs where it's just all the way through 7 days of wrestling on top of another 6 days of wrestling because we have Money in the Bank this weekend. So, I thought this episode of Gold Rush was very up and down. Like, the ups were really high, and the lows were like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yes. I'm trying to remember the ups, but I'm sure they were there.
I thought the Heritage Cup match was fantastic.
And right, no, that was good. I forgot all about that. That was good, and that was good, and the main event was good.
The main event was great, and I thought the opener, which we can talk about in the beginning here, I thought it accomplished what it was supposed to accomplish. I have one qualm about it, but I felt like Thea Hale looked strong. We knew Tiffany was going to retain. This was a perfectly good use of her title reign so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I hated it. So we'll talk about that starting the beginning of the match, beginning of the night. But first, we got to get to all these super chats and humper chats sent in by you, the SGS. Darren Lloyd says, had to miss NXT, but I'm not upset because I got the SGS. Oh, man. If I could only miss NXT every week and get to watch two fun people crack jokes and do funny voices to tell me about what I didn't have to watch, that's the dream. Darren Lloyd, you're living the dream, my man. Paul Elizabeth says, oral surgery too? Less wise, but still SGS forever.
My dad had his wisdom teeth yanked. Yeah.
Wait, that's late.
They were like, it was like his teeth were degrading, so they just pulled them out because it would have caused problems down the line, I think, was what I was told by my mom.
Yeah, no, I was told by my dentist at like 19, you got to take them out now. Everyone takes them out now. Better take them out now. And I was like, I don't feel them. You will. If I would have gotten like 50 more years out of that, I'd be very upset.
Well, that's like a thing where it's if you actually have enough space in your mouth for them. This was, I think, like an actual issue with the teeth themselves, but everything went well from what I'm told. They've been watching Daphne while I was gone, so very thankful for them as always. But
Matthew Hooks says Matthew Hooks had oral surgery. Everyone's having oral surgery.
I guess so.
Everyone's getting the oral surgery.
Maybe they should call Britt Baker DMD. Probably for a recommendation though, because she is not orthodontic surgeon. I'm very tired.
I'm not going to make the joke because it is too early.
I know,
in the
it's
night.
right there. Relax. I'm very tired.
And Matthew Hooks also says, let's have a great SGS show, guys. Yes. Electric Mayhem says, missed your Monday installment. Watched this morning. Excellent as always. Wanted to share some dog puns, though. We had dog puns last night on this main channel. We did a Monday Night Raw review on this channel. And we said, let's put some dog puns in there, too, because it was Pharaoh's Monday Night Raw debut, Cody's dog. So let's have some dog puns. We had a bunch of dog puns. It was fun. But he's got some here. Affenwalter.
Very good.
Pretty Papillon Avalon. And Cody Rhodesian Ridgeback Holland. he's got 2. Very good. And Ethan Smith says, "Told you I'd be here after last night. I am now drinking the SGS purple Kool-Aid forever and always. We picked up a stray, people. We went over to a different area, and this one was so cute. We just wanted to bring him home. And so now he's part of the family."
On the side of the road of normal review shows. We took him into our weird ass little world.
Oh,
and I think
he's
what's
so
even
cute.
More amazing is I'm pretty sure we won him over while you were doing your impression of Linda, which
I think we did.
Of all the deep cuts is always one that is the most impressive to me. Yeah,
it's so good. Also, just real quickly before we get into the meat of the thing. Bryan Danielson had one of the worst forearm breaks I've ever seen in an X-ray. And wrestled for 10 minutes with that, and also checkmated Kazuchika Okada in a submission. So, but checkmated him. Yes. He had nowhere to go. If he would have stayed in that submission, he would have lost the use of both of his arms for a very long time. He checkmated Kazuchika Okada while sporting one of the worst broken forearms in the world. So yeah, Tom Valley said Danielson wrestled for 10 minutes with that broken arm. It's very true.
And after that, got his cast put on and did a presser. It was probably 1:30 in the morning by the time he got out there, maybe 1. And I've sat in on a lot of these when I was in college. I was in our sports information department and I helped run them. And I've never seen an athlete or an artist. I got to ask him a question. I've never seen a stranger sit 7 rows away from me and be so genuinely connected and listening to what I'm saying. He is obviously one of the most, if not the greatest wrestlers of all time. But being in the same room as him at the press scrum, just very evident that he's one of the most special people in pro wrestling. And it's actually I was very emotional about it because that dude had every reason to not be as authentic and enthusiastic about the sport as he is. He just really loves wrestling and what an ambassador for pro wrestling and for AEW. Every question he answered was just what Becky Lynch is really good at it too. Authentic. I want to hear what you're saying. But still extremely professional in the approach. Just what a blessing to live on the same timeline as that man. My God.
I agree. JB Pringle saying Alex the Amazing, Killa Kate, Papa Paul Elizabeth, Man Among Men, Oral Ouchie Matt, Sisters, Jam Man, Jake, Luis, and all the SGS. Welcome new kids. Yes, welcome new kids.
By the way, the Danielson spot, after all the Tiger Driver discourse, the Danielson worst break you ever saw happened on an unprotected elbow and a weird elbow drop. One of the most routine things to ever happen. Yep. It's so bizarre. I have no idea how he finished that match.
Yeah, that was great. Jake says that Will Ospreay is the best wrestler on the planet currently. I'll die on this hill. I'm not willing to fight anybody about it because Will Ospreay is great, but I'll just say that to me, Danielson is the greatest of all time. I don't know. I won't fight you on Ospreay being at this point in his career, maybe better than Bryan at this point in his career. But listen, the hairs we're splitting are so fine. You know what I mean? I don't want to get into it.
I'll say this: being there live, I don't know how to describe how you could pick up on it. But with Ospreay and Omega, you were like, I'm watching one of the best wrestling matches that I'm seeing in my lifetime. And when it switched to Danielson and Okada, it was like you could feel a reverence in the room. You could feel. It was like these guys are making their legend right now, and then it switched to these two are legends that are going to have a face-off. You're having LeBron and Jordan, is what I keep saying, right? So it was funny how you could feel that shift. And of course, we got Kojima and CM Punk earlier.
Yeah. Also, keep bragging, Kate. We know you were there. Okay, we get it. Also, Jake,
I was there and credentialed.
There is no reason for you to ever send in a second super chat to correct a typo. I will correct the typo for you when I see it. However, we do appreciate your $1.99. So there you go. So the first match of the evening is Tiffany Stratton versus Thea Hale. Now, here's my deal with this. When we all knew Tiffany was winning, it's very early in her reign. It feels like she's got a long reign ahead of her. Thea Hale is 19. The point of this is to show, hey, wow, she's got potential, right? And what will she look like in a few years? If she's this good now, how good will she be in a few years? But also the problem with that is your veteran who is taking her too lightly is Tiffany Stratton, who's been doing this for like 5 minutes longer than Thea Hale. So it's a weird story to tell with Tiffany Stratton. And I feel like we need to be doing enough to legitimize fully the reign of Tiffany Stratton before we start handing her victories via oopsie daisies. I don't want any of that shit. Have her beat Thea Hale clean because she's better than Thea Hale right now. Even after, because Thea Hale, she walks into the match. This is what you do. She walks into the match completely underestimating Thea Hale. Thea Hale surprises her. Tiffany Stratton like herks up, takes back control of the match, and beats her. That's you can tell everything you need to tell with Thea Hale without having a visual tap out while the ref's back is turned. Like we already did that in the lead up to the match. You don't need to do it again during the match. Tiffany Stratton is really special and should have a really special title reign. And if you're starting off her title reign with defenses where she fucking lost the match and won it anyway, that's not a great way to prove that she's got what it takes to be a champion in this great sport. That's my whole thing.
That's a very fair take. I will say there were some things that I really liked. I really liked that Thea Hale, who normally looks like cocaine personified, had her usual energy, but she looked very in control of herself, which
she's great.
She's great. Yeah. And I appreciated that was the story they were going for. Right. And so I appreciate that she held up her end of the bargain, and that the ending too, if you really wanted to stick with that ending, there's such a simple tweak you could have made in that Tiffany Stratton is smart enough to tap out while the ref's back is turned, but she's aware of the ref's back being turned. And so then Thea Hale buys it like she won, and the ref never called it. And Tiffany looks like it was a con the whole time.
Right.
And Thea Hale looks like an inexperienced rookie, which is what they're trying to show. I still don't like it, but it's like this much of an adjustment from what they did, which would have been so much more congruent with the story.
But they didn't. And it looked like she was tapping out because she knew she had lost because she can't get out of a Kimura because ouchie, my arm hurts. And she was frantic. Oh my God, thank God the match isn't over. I can actually win. Especially when it's the one of those dumb things where, like, ostensibly here, what you have here is Gulak and Charlie Dempsey battling with Duke Hudson and now the returning Andre Chase. We'll get to that in a second, for control of how they're going to mold Thea Hale. So in reality, I can't conjure up a thing where Drew Gulak, even if he's giving tough love or whatever to Thea Hale, wouldn't want her to win this match. He wants to show, hey, it was because of the thing that I taught you that you won the match. If she had tapped out Tiffany Stratton and won the match, it would have been because of the Kimura that he taught her. And because he is an egomaniac type of coach, he would want that. So when he's arguing with the ref, all he would have to do is turn around, ref. I'll get off the apron, turn around, but he doesn't do that because it's all a bunch of like really paint by numbers. This is why I can't stand NXT anymore, because I realize they're literally teaching all of these people to do the most ridiculous, lazy tropes possible, and it's just rinse repeat. Nobody is trying new and different things. They're just doing the same crap we've seen for 30 years in this company and teaching the new kids how to do the same old crap the old kids do. And I'm like, nothing gets better when you do that.
Specifically one kid, a heartbreak one, a horrible booking one, because we run tribute spots. I will also say, and this is, I understand it's developmental too, but as someone who was formerly on a Tekker kick but is now on a wrestling dancing kick, I would have preferred if the match also had agented more spots where Tiffany Stratton's arm was being attacked before the Kimura got locked in, because this was just a match. Like, there was no isolating the arm in any way. And I feel like Drew Gulak has been teaching that, right? Like that's a thing that is in Drew Gulak's arsenal better than pretty much anybody else is in NXT for sure, and the whole wide world.
He's been teaching her how to win the match with this exact hold.
But like in the leading up to this hold,
yeah,
the arm should have been targeted and it just wasn't.
Right.
So
no.
But like, it's NXT, so I'll take it, and I'm glad Thea Hale looked mostly good. But
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. I was just more pleasantly surprised by the fact that this worked from the overall goal of what it was trying to accomplish. I wish they took more care with the way it was executed in that way. But
so the end of this obviously involves Gulak and Dempsey coming down, getting on the apron, distracting the referee. So the visual tap out doesn't actually happen. And Tiffany Stratton just rolls up Thea Hale, who's a big old dum-dum and doesn't know that you get rolled up in the middle of matches like this. And then they are browbeating Thea Hale for not having won the match when it is their fault, clearly, that she lost the match. And then Duke Hudson comes in and says, "Hey, why are you browbeating my friend Thea Hale?" And they decided to beat him up 2-on-1. And Andre Chase comes back. Yay! And everyone loves Andre Chase. Andre Chase and Duke Hudson versus Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak is a feud that will last for the next 5 months.
They've done worse from a ring perspective.
It's fine. Honestly, it is one of those deals where it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'll sign up for that.
I mean, it's okay. Okay, cool. I'll sign up wholeheartedly for the next 6 weeks of it.
Yes.
And then I'm going to be like, now we're done. We're done now, right? We're done now, because I have been masochisting myself all over the place and going back and listening to old episodes of this particular podcast just because I am curious. The first time I went back and listened to a random one, because the YouTube thing came up in my For You feed, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll just put this on the TV while I'm cleaning up the living room. And I was floored. I wish I could remember what feud it was. I was like, holy crap, that's still going on. This is an episode from 6 months ago.
Wasn't it Horse Lawyer and Briggs and Jensen?
That was a different one. The one I'm talking the one I'm talking about is the first time we ever got the inkling of this weird Robert Stone and Von Wagner.
Oh God.
Was in January of this year was where we got the whole, hey man, you got to let me in. Tell me all of your deepest, darkest secrets. And here we are. It's almost July, and we started that in January. So you'll forgive me if I think this Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak versus Duke Hudson and Andre Chase program might go a skosh too long.
The only reason I have optimism it won't is because I think we also are going to try and get to the inevitable Mr. Chase versus Duke Hudson feud that happens. And I think that's actually a rare instance of a good can they coexist angle. Like that's actually a pretty good one, because the dissension is already sitting there. It's not like they forced it into the pairing. So I don't mind it. It would be nice if they wrapped it up by like Great American Bash or whatever they're doing at the end of July. I think that'll be match number 2 of 3 or whatever between them. But by the end of summer, like we should be on our way to Mr. Chase and do cuts in splitting up.
Henry the Casey says skipped NXT to watch mediocre streaming show screeners. I heard Harlem Bravado had a good welcome back reaction. That he did.
He did. Harlem Bravado, Andre Chase. Also, thank you for your kind words on Twitter earlier, Henry the Casey. That was very nice of you.
It was very nice of Henry the Casey.
Tag Sean next time so he knows we're bringing the money in.
Especially now because he's in the UK, so it's roaming charges. Now he's going to get roaming charges on every text. Right. That's good. That's good.
Now he's Bruv Sean right now.
Yeah.
Flower Sean.
He's Sean Ross. He's Sean Rossap in it. The Pro Wrestling Podcast does the meme of no one silence. Booker T. Wow.
Oh, wow. Come on. Booker T was a special level of bad tonight. I mean,
oh boy.
I think my sister, who famously doesn't watch wrestling, but I talk about wrestling too, I think could do better than this. Like, I'm pretty sure. Because she would at least have these really fun, authentic reactions of, like, what is happening. Booker T is, like, what is happening because I don't watch the product.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Henry the Casey did tag Sean. Thank you. Always tag Sean when you're talking about how great we are, and especially the part where you're bringing money for us.
There you go. Good. Good. So it's been a long week. After the this basically a Sansa blind for NXT we did last week for this podcast, I said I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna fire up the old NXT, and I'm gonna sit in my favorite chair. And I'm gonna watch it because I wanted to see some of the stuff. I must have gotten 5 minutes into that before I was just snoring. Like I woke up and the TV was just like had the screensaver on it. And I don't know. It was like 3 a.m. I don't know. I passed out. So I never got a chance to go back and watch any of last week's NXT, even though I said, "Oh, I'm gonna watch Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker right now. I'm gonna do it." I didn't because I was like, I'll watch the whole thing and then I'll see that last the way I'm supposed to. So I still haven't seen the Dana Brooke.
The Dana Brooke.
I haven't seen the Dana Brooke. I haven't seen the Dana Brooke thing that happened last week. I've seen clips from online, but not the whole thing. She's going to mentor Kalani Jordan. That's what I got out of this little backstage thing. And good luck, Kalani Jordan.
How do I say this? Well, the first thing in the segment was Dana Brooke saying that your gymnastic skills can come in really handy. And I was like, well, no, not so much for you. Because I like the gymnastic style, but it kind of goes back to the problem of they brought her back to feel like a really big deal, but she never really had that run on the main roster aside from the 24/7 title. And that wasn't really a workers title. So it just doesn't feel like she's the person to lead from a credibility standpoint, because it feels like she hasn't necessarily figured out all the keys to being a successful women's wrestling star in 2023. So I'll let it play out as it were, but I think that's a tough one for me to buy into, because I almost felt this way. Baron Corbin and Carmelo had a great match today, but I'm like, when you bring someone down and then the NXT person is better, it feels a little different. Now, Baron Corbin, I think, did a great job telling a story of the way things worked out, because I think a lot of what Baron Corbin did today was stop Melo from getting on a roll. which was really, really good stuff. But like Melo is great, so it's tricky. But from a match for like in a veteran way, like I think he had a game plan of not letting Carmelo string together a bunch of offense, and then Carmelo managed to pull it out in the end. Like that's a really good story for a veteran to tell here. This is like a blind leading the blind sounds harsh, but it doesn't have the I'm here from the main roster established feel because they haven't done much with Dana Brooke on the main roster and she hasn't necessarily looked the best. So it's just a bit of it affects my ability to buy into it a little bit.
So MD Cyclo in the chat says put Dana with scripts. And I was like, you can't, because that's her ex-husband. I was like, imagine like, oh, I gotta go to NXT, and then your ex-husband is there, and you gotta like pass him awkwardly in the halls, and like you're working out in the gym, and your ex-husband's over there, and it's like, oh man,
awkward.
No, Kalani apparently has been doing really good stuff on Level Up.
I will believe you.
That is what I've been told. I've seen
clips. She's a beautiful young lady. My goodness.
Yeah, I have seen clips of her work on Level Up because I follow the NXT on Twitter, and the NXT will show clips of the Level Up on their feed. So I've seen the Level Up and I've seen the NXT. They quote the Level Up. They quote tweet it. I just hope they find somebody who can teach Kalani Jordan to do promos that's not Dana Brooke, because you do not. That's the cadence of a Dana Brooke promo is not one to emulate, and it does feel like Kalani Jordan was already doing that with this little scene. So yeah,
I did not realize this is not anything that's really in her control or anything. It happens with a lot of wrestlers. Her accent is very thick. I don't think I realized that much about Dana Brooke, but I was like, whoa, that girl is from the Midwest, isn't she? Like, it is a strong accent.
Yes. Feeling Dreepy, this is a bit of hearsay, a bit of speculation, but it says it feels like NXT is not teaching the recruits how to wrestle and be wrestlers anymore, but how to work at WWE so that they can't go to the competition if they choose to fire them. That last part, I'm not going to speak on that. But I know for a fact that because they've said it, that they are teaching the people they bring in to the PC how to do WWE type wrestling. It does not make sense for them, if they are seeing if they can work for WWE, if they can actually have a career at this, to teach them how to do AEW type wrestling. Because so many people they're bringing in now are people who don't have any experience wrestling at all. So we're going to skip with all that other stuff. We're going to do this. I don't know if it's as insidious as, so if we fire you, you won't have a career anywhere. Or if it's just like, we don't really give a damn about the other style wrestling. We want to see if you can do this. So,
well, if they think that's what they're doing, Tony Khan has sucked up NXT releases like it's his job. So that is not what they accomplished, if it's what they set out to accomplish. No, I think they are teaching the NXT WWE style because they need their handoffs to go better than they have historically.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that were really great on the indies who are acclimating, right? I think Carl Fredericks, Eddie Thorpe is a really good example of someone who can play to the room that he's in. And I would say, to Alex's point, there's a lot of NIL class that have not been wrestlers. Bianca Belair had no wrestling experience. She's the most successful case study that they have with that. There have not been that many others, but I think that's way more common than people think. I think that happens at AEW more than people think, because ROH is a different room than AEW is, than WWE is, than New Japan is. Like you're always playing to a different style. It's just that WWE is the most stylized. So,
right.
But to Alex's point earlier, their playbooks are are more limited than a lot of other places. I won't even just say AEW because I feel like that's even Impact, because they're so character heavy, has fun ways to set up stories. New Japan has incredible ways to set up stories just because of they're not weekly episodic television. They can play around with whatever the hell they want to do in New Japan.
That's true.
So it's that part is frustrating because we see it in NXT where they're being trained to fit into these different templates or whatever. So that you're watching a developmental TV product, which is a weird cross section to make work.
Yeah. So we haven't figured out how to do with what we're doing with the puns. So I'm gonna go ahead and say mafia puns. Anything having to do with because now we got to talk about this whole deal. Gallus had a match with Edris Enofé and Malik Blade. Match is the match. I think Malik and Edris are incredibly athletic. Can do some really cool stuff. Gallus are big bruising boys. So the match is the match. It's fine. I'm not gonna like go into detail about things about the match. But I will talk about the finish. Stax shows up and does a running Oni Lorcan missile European uppercut in the direction of Mark Coffey near the ring steps, who is holding up a barely conscious Edris Enofé. He sidesteps it, Mark Coffey does, and Stax barrels into Edris Enofé on accident. But it's not on accident. So the Gallus boys get in the ring, and Stax picks up the corpse of Edris Enofé and rolls him into the ring, where he gets the double team finisher of the Gallus boys, and the Gallus boys pin Edris Enofé with the obvious help, the swervish help of Stax. There was a reveal later in the episode that I will talk about after you give your thoughts on this portion of the story, which is this match and its finish.
The match I actually thought was pretty good. There was just the one like double leap spot that missed, which was a scary botch or whatever. I hate doing that because I don't like to define things by that. But I actually thought this worked better than a lot of what we've kind of seen. I think you're right that Edris and Malik are super athletic, but something about like the relationship with the big men that they had in this match clicked in a little bit better than a lot of their other matches. I would like to see them have a little bit more of an identity other than two athletic guys that have a little bit of an odd couple relationship. Like they creative, I don't think has done the work on that yet.
Nope.
It would be nice if they did. I don't. It's hard to talk about this part of the story without talking about the later part of the story. It was confusing and not well done. It was confusing and not well done. Like this was not executed particularly well. Especially because of what we saw last week with someone getting kidnapped. Like it was just a bit of a jump for me. But it didn't seem like it went all that right, and it was very confusing.
So this leads to a scene later where Tony D comes into the visitation room with the glass and the phones, and he's surprised to be visited by Joe Coffey, who you'll remember was abducted in broad daylight by good old Stax last week, and Joe Coffey, who has bangs that are not nearly as good as yours.
I don't want to brag, but like not even close to my level.
Yeah. So he comes in and talks to Tony. He's like, things aren't what they seem. And And Tony D's like, he says, your boy Stacks has been, he sold you out. Your boy Stacks sold you out. And Tony's like, that's a lie. He never would have done that. He's tired of being the underboss, says Joe Coffey. And Joe Coffey says, I have it all recorded right here to prove it. So he brings out a phone and puts the receiver down to the speaker of the phone. And you hear Stack say, like, hey, listen, he's taking him out of the trunk. He says, listen, this could have gone a whole lot worse for you. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help your boys out because I'm not gonna be the underboss anymore. I'm sick and tired of being the underboss. And then Joe Coffey pushes pause on the whole thing, tells Tony D, listen, as I told you, things aren't what they seem. And this is straight out of the playbook of a lot of mafia movies where the one guy is turning on the other people, but he thinks he's going to get support from the other side, the other gang he's willing to help. But what he's doing by turning on his boss proves to the new guy he wants to work with that he's untrustworthy entirely. So what Joe Coffey is doing here by coming to Tony D and saying, your boy is selling you down the river. He knows that Tony D is going to get out. This is a trumped up charge because he knows that the whole thing has been all faked up by Stacks. When Tony D gets out, he doesn't have to worry about Tony D because he's setting Tony D after Stacks. Those guys are going to fight. And the winner of that is going to be all alone and easy pickings for the Gallus boys to do away with. The problem I have with all of this is we're breaking up another goddamn tag team. We're breaking up another group when there wasn't even a group yet. I've been begging you for now months, ever since they sent Two Dimes to sleep with the fishes. I've been begging you to get more henchmen for Tony D. One boss and one underboss does not a mob make. You need more dudes. And now you replaced his one henchman with 0 henchmen as opposed to more henchmen. It is this is frustrating, but the action, like I frustrating that it's doing it at all. But honestly, I really liked the scene between Coffey and Tony D. I thought they played it really well. Tony D is a master at this, and I was really surprised by how simple and honestly it felt, not to say it in the way that will piss off Righteous Reg, but how cinematic.
Say it to piss off Righteous Reg, Alex.
How cinematic Joe Coffey made the scene. It really felt like a low rent Scorsese knockoff. And I dug it. I just wish we didn't have to now sidetrack Tony D down a feud with Stacks. And even if he beats Stacks, oh good, now he's a mob boss with nobody who's working for him. It just feels weird.
So a lot of good and bad with this. I don't know if Tony D brought in his own film crew or whatever. It's the same people they borrowed from Finn Balor's video.
This was very Lucha Underground of them.
Just significantly better produced. Even visually, so much better than a lot of what they do.
Yeah.
Coffee was great, to your point. What is Stacks so tired of? What? You know what I mean?
No,
I'm you're not. The other problem with him not having any other underlings is that what the hell is Stacks so tired of? Usually that guy's fed up because those guys are causing issues or he's being forced to shit on them by a guy like Tony D and he doesn't want, usually there's a relationship with him and the underlings to be the middleman in that way. I don't know what he's so tired about. His boss is in prison. He's got it real easy right now. He doesn't have to worry about shit. And if he really was concerned about Tony D, he would call up the only man that can spring him out.
That's right.
Luca
Luca,
Crucifix. Look
Luca
at this
Crucifix.
guy.
Look at him.
Come on.
Yeah.
How is this guy not? If he's not in one of these vignettes, I'm gonna be so. I will riot. I'm gonna be so mad. This guy. Look at this picture. This is the guy that comes and springs Tony D from prison.
It really is.
Look at him. He's in a pinstriped suit with a lavender tie, winking with a gold ring on and pointing at you. Get this guy in there. I wouldn't hate maybe if Stacks doesn't do his job and Tony D gets out with his help and that's his new guy. Like, I think that could be very fun. But come on, man.
Tony, I don't know. This whole thing with Tony D, now he's gonna be a lone guy because he has to get rid of Stacks and Stack. So Tony D is a single star with a crew that backs him up. That's an obvious thing that they could have done. But to your point, what is Stacks so tired of? It'd be one thing if Tony D was like a tough love boss, like whenever Stacks. We see this a lot in mob movies. Like, you know, when a guy messes up, a slap across the face, but then an arm around the shoulder, like, hey, you mess up again, you know, I'm gonna have your ass. Like, there's none of that. All Tony D has ever been is kind and loving to Stacks. Like I believe he literally saved him from some kind of big finishing move by like pushing him out of the way. Like, I don't know what Stacks is. Like, it's not like there's another guy or even one more in the mob where Stacks is jealous that guy's moving up the ranks and might replace him. There's none of that. I honestly don't know. I don't know what this is.
It's a bummer because it's actually well done outside of that. You know what I mean? But it's like the meat and potatoes is the thing that's missing and everything else is there. It's kind of a bummer.
Henry the Casey says, I called Stacks selling Tony D out weeks ago, right? I believe you did, Henry the Casey. I think we all kind of thought that was a possibility. It seemed too easy for it to be Gallus, and there were literally no other
it was
culprits.
Not the Creeds or whatever.
There were no other suspects. So, you know, we'll see. Tom Mafelli says 2 dimes sleeps with the Bobby Fishes, folks. And and W. Pringle says curse splash, R.I.P. 2 dimes. How soon we forget. Yeah. Stacks is a fucking rat. He's a fucking rat. So honestly, I felt like those guys were working really well together, and all they needed was like 2 more dudes to roll out the crew with like Tony D is the obvious leader, the lieutenant is Stacks, and then you get two bodies to fill out the crew, and I guess they don't have enough bodies.
You have one literally on your roster right now.
I know.
I just put his picture up.
I don't get it. Okay, so here's a thing that nobody prepared me for. Somebody needs to prepare me for these things, so I'm not caught unawares. The Schism had a family meeting.
They did.
And it was called by Ava Raine, who is in charge of the Schism now.
She's
but
like
it was
a co.
I don't know.
A co-leader.
She's the reasonable one. And Joe Gacy and Zach Gibson yell at each other about who sucks more, and kind of a thing. And when I brought you into the Schism, you were nowhere, you were nothing, and I molded you into something great. And Zach Gibson and James Drake are like, you gave us stupid names. Our names suck now. They didn't say that, but they should have. Why
do I have one contact? Everything is weird.
I can't even see out of this eye. No wonder I've been losing all of my matches. I have no depth perception. Instead, then the Creeds come out. Speaking of death perception, this was this something that happened last week that I missed?
Four Eyes Julius.
Oh, okay. Four Eyes Julius. We did talk about that. I'm getting Clark Kent vibes from him.
It's giving Clark Kent.
It's giving Clark Kent. Just putting a pair of glasses on Julius Creed does not hide that he is literally Superman.
Wait till he has this reporter gimmick.
He so the Creeds come out with Ivy Nile, and they yell at each other about, you cost us the thing and you did the other thing and we don't like that. And so Joe Gacy suggests, really, honestly, that's basically
it's just the thing, and we don't like that. That's just like wrestling in a nutshell.
I know, that's just basically what they said. Then Joe Gacy's like, hey, I have an idea. And honestly, it's a good idea simply because there are options. He says,
yeah,
let's have the Dyad versus the Creeds next week. Loser leaves NXT. Now, we already know that old Rip Fowler and young James Drake have I don't know why they're old and young, but I just say they were.
Because they're grizzled young vets.
Yeah, there you go. But the grizzled young vets, formerly known as grizzled young vets, they requested their release a while ago and were not granted it. And their contracts end in October. So they could just be playing out their stuff. But if this is the end of the story they wanted to do with them anyway, it's possible that they would just have the Dyad lose and then allow them to be off TV, even if they don't release them. So at least they're not doing stuff, whatever. So they can wrestle out the clock, that thing around the clock on their contracts. But also, the Creeds are long overdue for a call up to the main roster. So if the Creeds lose, then they would leave NXT by being called up to the main roster. I actually kind of like this because I don't even know. Not only do I not know who's going to win, I don't know who I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
Because I want the Dyad, I want Grizzled Young Vets to go off somewhere where they can have great matches. I don't care where it is, because the Grizzled Young Vets are great, and I want them to go off somewhere and have great matches. And I would be very happy to see them in ROH or AEW or Impact or literally anywhere.
New Japan run.
Anywhere they could go and have great matches, because they're both great. And also, selfishly, I want to see the Creeds I want to see Julius Creed doing stuff in front of the biggest possible audience he can get in front of, because that kid is special.
He is special, as you said. I thought they were very wise to word this as loser leaves NXT, because all of the contingencies or all the unpredictability hinges on NXT, not loser leaves WWE, right? And they're not always great about that. I'm glad that they got this one right. Mm-hmm. I actually really liked a lot of what was in here. I think Ava Raine still has a lot of work to do, and they might be hot-shotting things a little bit too quick. But also, it takes a long time to get used to the style that they have in NXT, because the style's not very natural or good, quite frankly. So it's not easy to walk into and acclimate, but this isn't quite clicking yet for me with her. But I thought Joe Gacy was really good in this, and it made me hope that between what he's been doing in the ring and what we saw with the fire in him tonight, which is kind of the human side of a cult leader, that hopefully they find some creative that works for him and some people that want to stick around, or let him just go out and be himself, because I thought he did a really good job with this segment. And from what I've seen in the ring, like, he can really wrestle. So hopefully this leads to something that's productive for everybody involved. I think it's interesting, because I think either side is benefits. Like, I think wrestlers should get to work, or at least not work where they don't want to work. So
I think both teams should want to lose next week. Here's what I want. I want guys not kicking out. I want them to throw the match.
The Montreal unscrew job.
Don't you dare put your opponent in any kind of submission move. Put him in a headlock, he's going to tap out. They want to lose this match.
That's it. Just
that would be hilarious.
Breathe and they fall over.
Christopher Smith is saying what I was saying, that if Schism loses next week, I think GYV could just sit out until they leave as an option. But I could also see Creed's losing to go to the main roster. Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
That was my first thought too. My bigger question is also, does Ivy go with them? And on top of that, like, I think they'll let GYV go. I think they don't want them to go to Wembley, which is shitty, but I also get it. So it's interesting to see what the timing is, because I believe NXT usually has 30-day non-competes. But they might just keep them on the sidelines until then, as you said, just pull them off television. But
there's like this one from G Bro. Shout out to the dorks who think you're negative 24/7.
We were actually very reasonable on last night's show, by the way.
We were actually.
I actually thought we were pretty
good. Louise saying that Ava Rain is the underboss of Schism, LMAO. She is. And there was a later segment where they were backstage, like the dyad was ranting to Ava. What's Joe thinking? Putting us in a match like this. We'll see. We'll see. Man, they're doing a lot to make poor Bronco and Lucian climb uphill. If you just had two big guys show up and win their first match on NXT, and if they hit a couple of power bombs or choke slams or big boots or something, and like a huge lariat, and I get a watch and I go, hey, that's cool. But there's almost nothing they could do in their first match to overcome how lame they feel after these promos. Like, it feels like they're trying so hard to make them, they're trying so hard to make them seem hard. And I'm just like, I just put them in the ring and let them do stuff. Don't do this because it feels like it's inauthentic. And I don't want to prejudge wrestlers. Let me see them wrestle first, and then I will. Then we can figure out some other, because I don't know. It feels like you're not helping them with these. Like, vignettes are supposed to help people. Remember Obafemi?
Yeah.
Remember Obafemi? How they ran vignettes where he was like throwing couches, and I was like, that seems fun. I mean, like, I wish I could throw a couch. Would it help me move? You know what I mean? But would have
helped me move.
It would have helped me move. Couches are heavy. If I could throw one, it would probably help. So I loved Obafemi, and then I don't know if he's hurt or whatever. He's off the TV for like a month. He was great, and but the vignettes helped him. And then he had the match, and I was like, that's cool. I like that guy. And then he's gone. And now you're doing vignettes for Bronco and Lucian. I'm like, all right. And then they're going to show up, and I don't know.
They haven't always figured out the difference between a vignette and a bad biopic. Like, vignettes are not supposed to be like, so I don't know if wow, something on my setup really did not like these vignettes. What the hell even was that?
I don't know.
Doomed. Everything's doomed. Everything sucks and everything's doomed.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're throwing a couch, that's a cool vignette. If you
say less,
football,
a dude that throws a couch. Yes, Pro Wrestling Podcast. Go watch. I don't know, 6 weeks ago. Maybe longer. I don't know. They had a dude, Obafemi, who was throwing couches and stuff. It was great.
I'm sure if you go to YouTube and type in Obafemi throwing couch, it'll pop up. But it was like he could shot put a couch.
I'm pretty sure he was throwing a couch. Was he throwing a couch? I remember him throwing a couch.
From furniture.
Yeah.
It was either a recliner or a couch. Yeah, these aren't great, but it's better than Nikita Lyons rapper, bouncer, dancer.
Yes, it's better than that. That's a low bar.
We're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
We have a different energy. We are not keeping that same energy.
No. As Luis says, speaking of big dudes, where's Obafemi? I missed that dude. Immediately when he showed up, I was like, that guy's fun. I want to see him do more. Like he was really big and bruising. Like he was doing the exact amount you should do as a dude that size.
Yes.
Like he was not overextending himself. It was like I will beat the absolute stuffing out of you, and I won't even have to try to do it. That's the kind of guy that I love. Yeah, that was good. So we got 2 vignettes here about the Heritage Cup. I only saw one of them. I didn't see the one with Noam Dar. I don't know where I was that I missed it. But Axiom wants the Heritage Cup because Kid A Kid.
It's a great album.
It's a great album. Everything's in its right place. And anyway, a kid. The A kid.
The A kid.
And not to be confused with the B kid or the C kid.
Or the A champ, the Carmelo Hayes.
That's right. He wants I'm just keep thinking about this Heritage Cup. And then Noam Dar is sad. Did we ever get a thing from
we got a live promo tonight
from Sean about Noam Dar's injury, or do we know what do we know any kind of prognosis on that thing? Because
not that I remember seeing confirmed by Sean anywhere.
Okay.
He rocks the space buns as well as Tony Storm. God bless him.
Mm-hmm. He's very good at rocking certain buns.
He is. And I like his nails today. And he has a really funny relationship. I love when wrestlers establish relationships with interviewers. And he does not have a great one.
No.
He doesn't want to be asked about questions right now. He was very fun in this. And Lash and Jakara trying to pull the attention back to their W, I thought was good because Noam Dar was too sad to talk about it, Alex. He didn't want to talk about it. It hurt him in the feels.
Yeah, he's a sad man. I'm a sad man. Write whatever you want about me.
That's right.
Noam Dar turned to the Ishii for a second there.
No.
But I listen. I if it's one of those things where like he can come back in 4 to 6 weeks, having him on TV is good because he's a good character, and
he's like really good.
And so it'll be fun to see where this goes. I hope he can come back soon and have great matches for said cup. Nathan Frazer and Dragon Lee.
Great match.
Great match. I struggle with the Dragon. I don't think Nathan Frazer should have lost in this defense, but I struggle with the Dragon Lee stuff.
The Dragon
because I struggle with the Dragon Lee. I struggle with like where his spot is because it's not. Well, yeah, but that's not where Dragon Lee should be in this particular company. You know what I mean? Like Dragon Lee he's Dragon Lee, and I don't know. He seems directionless. Like just hanging around the Heritage Cup does not seem like he's got I would be fine with him not in a title picture if he had a specific thing, like a person he was feuding with for some, like, I don't know, like could I interest you in Ilya Dragunov versus Dragon Lee matches? Could I interest you in that? Like like the thing about NXT is so odd is because so much of what we see on television is a bunch of really terrible creative handed to really bad actors
Correct.
and as opposed to what you have on the roster, like sometimes it feels like they're hidden there, are some of the very best workers in the whole wide world, and they don't have a chance to do a lot of that because so much of the TV show they're on is shit. But you have Dragon Lee and Ilya Dragunov and Dijak in your employ, and you're not actively striving to let them have banger 15-minute matches on TV every week. You're failing miserably.
Well, hold on with Dragon Lee, because I disagree with your premise.
All right.
He showed up. He was almost immediately inserted into a title picture, right? He made friends with Nathan Frazer, which is a story.
Yeah, that I don't trust that because you know what? Friendship doesn't exist in the world of NXT.
No, but now they're feuding over the Heritage Cup. I wouldn't say he's directionless.
Okay.
And I feel like he was inserted into two programs that we're told are important programs on the show, and he only showed up a few months ago. I actually don't have a problem with this. I think it's less WWE like and more maybe AEW like, that you have to earn your spot up on the way. But I feel like he's actually been made to feel important. It's just important in the mid card, and I don't know if there's upward mobility. But it's gonna. I'll give it a little more time because it's only been a few months since this guy's been here, and I also don't know if he's gonna win a title in NXT because he's not developmental. He's Dragon freaking Lee.
No,
the main tomorrow.
Right. That's the thing, is that Dragon Lee should be in NXT for as long as it takes him to wrestle a match against the very best guys in NXT. One of them each, and then he moves to the main roster. That is what they should do. And when he gets there, feud him with Santos Escobar. I don't know. What I think is that here's the deal. I think that what happens with us often is that we both wind up in the same place. You just get there 2 months after me. And so I am already thinking about where because I do this, and I jump the gun occasionally, but I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when sometimes I'll be like, this is headed into a bad, not bad, but a place where things aren't where they should be. I can see it.
No, a luchador in WWE not being treated well. I get that, but what I'm saying is, so far, I actually think he's fine.
So far,
forecast, I'm not. It's partly cloudy.
So far, I agree with you, and I for some reason my brain can't go. I go. Okay, where are all the possible paths from here? Where are the good ones, and why will HBK not send Dragon Lee down those paths? And I can't take it. I can't take my mind off of it. I wish I could. I wish I could just enjoy things for what they are while they're happening, but it's impossible for me to do so.
The forecast and what we've been given so far don't always correlate. So I get it.
I'm downright sunny in my disposition on Dragon Lee, his current spot, when it in comparison to one Jake Salazar who says, poor Dragon Lee, I hope he got the bag coming here, because boy howdy does this company truly suck. CM Punk was right about all of them. See, now Jake, like, listen, I'm sour, but like you're sometimes
that's categorically incorrect.
I'm sour like a Sour Patch Kid, and you're sour like a Warhead, and like there's differences there. There's very subtle levels, but that's just incorrect.
Like, Nathan Frazer should not have dropped the Heritage Cup today. This was a good story going into it. Like, if you don't like it taste wise, by all means, but from a wrestling perspective, the way Dragon Lee's been brought in has made sense.
Right. Yes. There's a great vignette for Dragunov and where, what beyond
this was so good.
This was great. Dragunov's great. And
See, look at us.
we'll
We've got some nice things to say today.
and where's it going to be? What's it going? Where are we going to see? What are we doing with Ilya
Miller versus
Dragunov?
Dragunov.
I mean, that's the goal. That's the Great American Bash goal. Let's get to it. I am worried. I am worried that Vince was like, well, I like the cut of this young man's jib. I'm going to pull him up to the main roster, then not do anything with him for 6 months. Because I've seen Vince do that playbook before. And I feel like there's a lot left to do with once you put the title on Carmelo Hayes and decide this guy's our top guy. Now you owe it to everybody who watches your show, all 600,000 of them who are all above retirement age. You owe it to that audience to allow him to tell stories as the champion. Please don't pull him up too early. They are teasing things with him getting involved with main roster stuff that might get a little muddy from here on out. That's all.
You sound like when Sean would talk about me with old ROH, he'd be like, yeah, I know you and the other 8 people that were watching are so disappointed.
Yeah.
It's like League of Their Own. Dozens of people are tuning in to watch us play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Carmelo is great. I feel like Braun goes up first, especially based on how the show ended tonight. And Carmelo, I think you make him a Royal Rumble surprise. Because I think SummerSlam's too soon, and I think after SummerSlam, they don't give a shit until Rumble season. So have him be a Rumble surprise and do some great work in that, because he could do some really fun things at a Royal Rumble.
I mean, we're getting Breakker versus Dragunov first, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I just don't know when you do that between now and the Great American Bash. Maybe that's the Great American Bash match, is Breakker versus Dragunov. So then what are we doing? Are we doing Corbin again? Is this going to be we're getting multiple matches out of this? I don't know.
Luis Ripley versus Carmelo.
Luis doing all of the work to talk me off the ledge, and it's not going to work. It says Dragon Lee's run has been similar to Adam Cole's first year in NXT, where he was immediately inserted into the title scene, but did not do much until he won double gold in NXT New Orleans. Yeah. I mean, okay. We'll I guess, man, when Adam
You're
Cole first
preemptively upset about what's coming for Dragon Lee, not about what's happened.
Right. When Adam Cole showed up with the Undisputed Era, O'Reilly and Fish, and attacked Drew McIntyre, that was an impact made that needed some time to fully flesh itself out. But it was at no point was I concerned they weren't going to really pull the trigger on Adam Cole. I knew it was happening 100%. I don't know because of WWE's wishy-washiness with luchadors. I don't know. I don't have confidence that Dragon Lee is getting that trigger pulled.
I also feel like at that point, Adam Cole was a fit for NXT, and I don't think Dragon Lee is a fit for NXT. Yeah. That guy doesn't. It's kind of ridiculous he's in NXT. Let's be honest. That guy should be on the main roster. But the match itself was great. The only thing that went a little wonky was because they were trying to get to that 1 second ending, and the ending got a little bit funky. But I like the New Japan title. I like the Pure Rules title. I like the House of Black rules if they actually use them for anything. I like rules because I'm a square and I'm a nerd, and I think it makes, when in the hands of wrestlers the caliber of these two, it makes for really compelling television. I love having the rounds. I love the rules. It's a really, really fun format. I'm glad they brought it over from the UK. This match was great. Dragon Lee was really laying his stuff in today. He was there were a couple of corner spots that were just like, holy hell. Really, really good chemistry from the two of them. This was a blast. It went the way it should have. It's an interesting story because he kind of snuck a win here with 1 second left. And it
The
was
match
a
was
friendly
amazing.
feud. So it was a great free television match for
Mhm.
sure. For sure.
Right. The reason I get concerned about Carmelo and his reign and what we might be doing here is because we'll talk. He won tonight. Spoiler alert. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But he lost last night to Finn Balor in less than 10 minutes. And Rhea Ripley showed up at NXT to like send him a message about how you don't mess with Judgment Day business. And I was like, oh man, are they going to cost him the title versus Baron Corbin so he can go up by next Monday? And they didn't.
Thank God.
But I'm not manifesting this. Okay.
What Tuesday night, Monkey's Paw?
What have I always said about? I've said a lot of things about this fella, but one of the things I have always said about Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, I had the exact same thought you did.
Is that he needs to go to NXT because he doesn't know how to fucking do anything yet, and he skipped all the stuff that teaches you how to do shit. If his jaunt to NXT is to take the title off of Carmelo Hayes,
stop it.
Let's see here. They're gonna punish Carmelo for getting involved in Judgment Day business, and he doesn't have right now a clear program for the Great American Bash at the end of July. Because Braun Breaker probably wrestles Dragunov there. So I don't see a clear picture for the guy who faces him right now. I'm just saying it's something that Hunter and HBK might do just because they think it's funny and they hate me personally.
No.
As soon as Rhea showed up and talked to Carmelo, I was like, Dominic Mysterio is wrestling.
He's gonna
Carmelo
challenge
Hayes
for it, but he's not gonna win. The thing is, he's so far behind. He's not ready to be NXT champion. He's not. Like, he can't. In order to be a champion, you have to be able to give other people decent matches, and he just freaking can't. It's almost, not from a viewership perspective, but it's almost better that he does what he does now than he holds.
I think Dominic versus Melo for the title at Great American Bash is an almost certainty to me in my head. Until they prove to me he's got somebody else to work with. Whether or not they pull the trigger on the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of wrestling, I don't know. You know, we'll see. But anyway, Rhea hangs out later. JC Jane gets hit in the face by Lyra Valkyria forearm strike.
Actually, pretty good.
And because she was talking shit, and Lyra was standing there and hit her in the face, and she fell down. And then Rhea stands over, and goes, "Lyra's a badass. What can you say?" And I was like, "This is who Rhea should be." When she's not being dragged down to the depths of hell by this faction she's in, she should be this tweener who just like laughs in the faces of people, but is not like, well, Lyra's a face and I'm a heel, so therefore I don't like her. No. Lyra's a badass, and you look weak because you're laying at my feet, even though you're a heel and I'm a heel. Like, she's so good as a tweener. Just make her a tweener forever. I don't know why.
I agree. I actually liked this with Lyra. I thought JC Jane did a really good job of being like, I'm going to go tell her this. And like, I'm going to talk all the shit. And she was standing right behind her and got walloped. That was actually a pretty well done segment.
All right, Mafia puns before we get into the thing that made me the about the show. So anyway, Mafia puns. Ricardo says Val Capone, Venus. Ricardo says Tommy Champa gun. Tommy Gun Champa.
Oh, I gotcha.
Chris Pereira says sleeping with the Bobby Fishes. Feeling Dreepy says sleeping with the Bobby Fishes. I'm sure a lot of other people say sleeping with the Bobby Fishes. Chris Pereira says Don Callis.
Very clever.
Lieutenant Photo says one WWE Friday Night Shakedown. The NDH says Casino Battle Royale. Chris Pereira says, "Oh, I'm saving that one for last. That's too good. I'm saving that one for last." Chris Pereira says Raw Underboss. Ricardo says Gabagulia. Gabajulia.
Oh, very good.
And
I'm excited to see what she brings, man. Let's go.
Prohibition Wrestling. Chris Pereira says Capo Lou Albano. Lieutenant Photo says House of Blackmail. Chris Pereira says Rico Shay. And the NDH says The Roads to Perdition. But the Cody Roads to Perdition, yeah. But Chris Pereira, with the leader in the clubhouse going forward, it will be hard to beat this one. Kenny Omerta.
Kenny, by God, Omerta.
Kenny, by God, Omerta.
That's pretty excellent.
So, last week, we talked about, even though I didn't see it, we talked about how it was weird that they didn't mention that Gable Steveson is Damon Kemp's real life brother. So that when Gable Steveson came to Eddie Thorpe and said, "I'm going to train you to face Damon Kemp," and I was like, wait, did they ever mention that they're brothers? And everyone was like, no, they never mentioned they're brothers. Oh my God, they think we don't know, and they're gonna swerve us with the big heel turn. So this week they had a whole segment where Gable Steveson and Eddie Thorpe were training for the big Raw Underground, NXT Underground match next week. And Gable Steveson was like, "Listen, I've gone back and watched all the film." You mean you watched it? You watched your brother's film? He was a standout at the University of Minnesota. Yes, he was, while you were also at the University of Minnesota. Even if you weren't his brother, you were his wrestling teammate. This is weird. And he's like, so I know all about him. I can train you how to beat him. And then they train for a bit, and then back to the montage. And then Eddie Thorpe's like, I just hope I can. I would love it if you could be out there and help me. And it's like, he's just that Damon Kemp. He's just so annoying. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. There was this time where he stole my Super Nintendo controller. What a jerk. Oh, yeah, totally annoying. Because they're brothers.
Yeah.
And then he says, I would be honored, now that you have asked me, I would be honored to be your guest and be at ringside for you with your big Raw Underground NXT Underground match next week. I will even wave at Damon's parents in the front row because I know they'll be there. By the way, Damon's parents are also my parents because we are brothers. And they were just doing so many wink, wink, nudge, nudges to the people who already know they're brothers, while fully intending to do a crazy, oh my God, Vic Joseph just blew his mind swerve and reveal that Gable Steveson is going to help Damon Kemp beat Eddie Thorpe next week. It is crazy that they think they're going to get away with this, and also even crazier that they're actually going to get away with this.
It was in regular news, I think, like regular sports news.
Yes, it was. It was.
Also,
That's true. Alpha
Gable
Bill, it's true.
Stevenson like has some pretty.
He said, "I followed his entire career," which you would probably do. You would probably do if you were brothers. You would probably have followed his entire career.
I just hate it here. And this is one where the real life stuff about Gable Stevenson is not something that I can easily put away because of the egregious loophole that he got through legally.
Can't. Nope. It's even worse that way when you think of it.
Yeah, get out of my life and off my screen forever. But it's gonna be really bad. So that's fun. It's gonna be colossally bad.
Mm-hmm. So do you remember last week on the show I didn't watch where Von Wagner like told the whole story?
Yes.
Of the condition he was born with, where his skull fused, his brain couldn't get any bigger, so he had to have all these surgeries when he was a kid, and it was really traumatizing to relate all those details to Robert Stone, but it was a big breakthrough, and it was a major point moving this story forward. Turns out, no, forget all about that. He's taken a major step back, and now he can't process having said all those things, and now we're literally back a month ago where he wouldn't talk about it with Robert Stone. Now Robert Stone knows all about it and was really supportive of his friend and client Von Wagner last week when Von Wagner told him all about it. But now this week, Von Wagner is having some kind of PTSD about having talked about it and won't talk to Robert Stone this week. So we're just going to go backwards and pretend none of last week happened.
Maybe if he wasn't so busy trying to bone his therapist, he would be able to process this in a normal way. Go to therapy. Also, it felt like when he was sitting and reacting, it looked like he was trying to take a shit. It sounded like it. He would like grunt and he had his head in his hands and he was like bracing. Even like it sounded like in a movie where the main character is constipated.
Yep.
It's awful. This is awful.
Yeah. Not great. So
I honestly don't know why Robert Stone cares about this guy.
No, I don't. Not at this point. No. Yeah. Gigi Dolan defeated Kiana James. Throughout the match, Vic Joseph would say, "James Dolan," and I was like, "Wait, is the owner of the New York Knicks in attendance?" Because my head was like every time he says James Dolan, I was like, "Wait, what?" Because if those you don't know, the owner of the New York Knicks is James Dolan, and maybe they knew that was gonna be a thing that they were gonna conjure up in the minds of people. Because after Gigi Dolan pins Kiana James hits her with the bag that she carries with her. And if you've been wondering what's been in the bag the whole time, it turns out it's just open cans of paint. And the paint is orange and blue, which are the colors of the New York Knicks. So James Dolan did show up tonight. I don't know why Kiana James is pouring paint all over.
Because Gigi is an artist. We had that really wonderful, you didn't see it last week, but we had like a 2-minute vignette about how Gigi's an artist and creative, and she was like painting on the side of a thing.
So Kiana James took offense to that, bought some paint, unscrewed the jars so they were open, and put them in her purse, and wanted to hit Gigi Dolan with them to win a match. Failed at that. And then just poured the paint on Gigi. And what was this?
The purse wasn't expensive.
Was this the plan going forward? is after I lose, I'll hit you anyway and then paint you with them? If she had won, would she feel the need to pour paint all over her as well? Or was that like
with spray paint, that's how it works. We know that from the Outcasts.
Right, exactly. I guess when I hear, oh, she's an artist, my brain doesn't go, oh, artist, you mean person who paints things? Like, I don't.
Well, in the vignette, she was painting.
Okay, but I remembered Vic saying that she's an artist. She's very creative, and I go, okay, well, that could mean lots of things. But Kiana James is like, paint. But no, I guess it was in the vignette. Then I stand corrected.
That doesn't make it good. Why are you carrying around open cans of paint in your purse?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you pouring paint on someone you just lost to? That's really dumb.
Yeah.
Kiana James is a good wrestler, man. I just wish they would let her be a good wrestler and not carry around paint in her purse.
Remember how she was in this storyline with Double Vest and the Beach
and Horse Girl
for literally 6 months, and she came out the end of it having not changed at all from the person she was going into that feud?
No, because she was right the whole time. Why would she have changed?
Right.
My bigger thing is this, Alex.
The first one she pulled out of her purse was already open. Maybe the second one wasn't, but I watched her pull an open can of paint out of her purse.
Also, cans of paint should not screw open that easily.
They shouldn't. That's true.
That's just bad.
You need a paint key to open a paint can, right?
You do. And sometimes your paint can comes open a little too quickly. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Sometimes your paint is just all over the place and you didn't intend for it to go that way, and that's not great. And sometimes you don't even get to that point.
Yeah. Because
your paint can can't get it up. So that's the end of the metaphor, and I'm going to play the Bluechew ad now.
Is your sex life stuck in developmental? Well, get ready for a call-up with Bluechew.com and the code Fightful. Same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but how about this? No awkward in-person visits, no trips to the pharmacy. It's shipped straight to your door in a discreet package. But let me tell you, your package is not going to be discreet when you use Bluechew, and the code Fightful helps give you that confidence, that performance to take you straight to the main event, if you know what I'm saying. When approved online by one of our physicians, it just arrives straight to your door. You're not going to have people nosing around with what you're doing. And right now, you get your first shipment free when you use the code Fightful. Go straight to the top. You know what I mean. Memorable performance, high spot, whatever other innuendos you can think of. Bluechew.com and the code Fightful.
There you go. If your paint can can't get a boner, Bluechew.com, code Fightful. Hey, we'll also take this time to remind you to subscribe to Fightful Select at FightfulSelect.com. So much, Alex, literally so much news coming out on Fightful Select. You had a Collision Scoops thread. You had a Forbidden Door Scoops thread. You have all of the information about everybody who got their ass kicked in those matches and the injuries that came from that. You have news on them trying to quote-unquote Vince-proof shows on Raw and SmackDown. And more importantly than any scoop you could ever want, this little duo right here.
Mm-hmm.
You want more? You're going to get more. On FightfulSelect.com, not only your Raw post show, not only Alex flying solo on SmackDown, but Money in the Bank post show, you can hang out with the squares on the main channel, or you could go to FightfulSelect.com. Hear Alex and I talk about it. Super loaded cards. We do it for every pay-per-view you also have Sean's Q&A back there, which is really, really great. If you have a question, he'll answer it for you, or at least make an effort to find out those answers. You get continuation shows like Ask Rhapsody, and the list and your boy goes on. as well as all the scoops in the biz that you could possibly want. Best $5 in the biz, most breaking news in the biz by far, and a whole bunch of bonus content like Alexander and I.
Yeah.
Is your name really Alexander? No.
Yes.
Is it really?
Be?
You
I
just
know.
don't
I know.
strike me as an Alexander.
Well, listen. I'm not. I'm an Alex, but my full name is Alexander. I know you like to be different with your. My name is not Catherine. My name is Kate.
Well, it wasn't up to me, but yeah, my full name is Kate.
Right.
Zack Sabre Jr. could never cut a promo on me because my full name is Kate. There's nothing to be done. But you, Alexander.
Right.
Plenty to be done.
So Wesley and Lee are arguing about the match last week. Tyler Bate joins them. They argue some more. Ali wants a one-on-one shot with Wesley. Tyler Bate thinks that the shot he got last week shouldn't count, and he should get another one. But we get Mustafa Ali versus Tyler Bate next week, and that has the potential to be all sorts of a hoot. So that'll be good.
Wesley just throwing the title on his shoulder and leaving popped me to no end.
That's good stuff.
I was like, relatable. I've done that exact same move in several situations. This was more fun than it had any right to be because all these guys are great, and Ali's timing is unbelievable with things like this. I loved, he tweeted it too. He was like, personally, I think I did a pretty good job. And they were like, you fast counted. And he was like, yeah, but for both sides. They were like, you slow counted. And he was like, for both sides. This is not quite Kevin Owens calling out tropes, but it's close and it's also great. So I will take it. And the matches that we're going to get for as long as the story is going on are going to be fantastic if they get out of their own way on them. So big fan of that. This was a fun little segment, and I like what we're setting up.
I did like your tweet. I had the same thought about Wesley telling to Ollie, maybe we should stop trying to be a referee and just stick to having dope matches. And but Mustafa's been trying to just stick to having dope matches, but they won't let him for like 6 years.
Like forever, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of dope matches, Carmelo Hayes versus Baron Corbin was great because Baron Corbin is now the lone wolf again, which is the only character he's ever been good as.
Also, a much needed change in presentation. That was actually my biggest problem with him. The first 2 weeks was like you had the Happy Corbin music and he was wearing gym clothes. I figured this was coming because it makes sense to do it at the title match, but the presentation for him was great today. He should be the lone wolf, and it had a big fight feel. And because of the way Carmelo's been on the main roster, I at least had an inkling of doubt. I figured Melo was going to retain, but I wouldn't have been completely stunned if this went Corbin's way. So this from the onset, before we even get into the match, I feel like was actually really, really productive, and that this is who Baron Corbin is and should be, and it set up the match really nicely.
Corbin hasn't had a match this good since he was in the tournament for the King of the Ring that he won. I feel pretty clear in saying that. He had a match versus Chad Gable during that tournament, whenever the hell that was. That
was amazing. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what we got out of him and Drew.
No,
it wasn't as good as this, right? Like,
no, because he was playing a chicken shit heel.
Yeah.
And Baron Corbin should never play a chicken shit heel. He should be the heel who busts your ass. Like that's the guy. And you can't be a Golden Gloves boxing champion and 6'8" and a former NFL offensive lineman who didn't make a squad because he was too busy fighting everybody and they had to cut him. Otherwise, he was going to injure one of the starters. You can't be that guy and then be a chicken shit.
Agreed.
So, which is why Happy Corbin never worked, because it didn't make sense. This is the best version of him. I've always said it. And he hasn't been this guy like in years and years and years. But he's great as this dude. And this was great. Carmelo Hayes is great and will continue to get better and better. And I still up until the end, I thought there was a possibility that they were just going to do, they were going to do a thing where they were like, okay, well, the Judgment Day is pissed at Carmelo Hayes and cost him his title. Baron Corbin gets to be the champ until whatever it is, Great American Bash or whatever. He gets to be the champ for like a month, and he'll transition it to somebody who wins a battle royal to get to face him. And oh my God, it's Dragon Lee, or oh my God, it's Tyler Bate, or whatever. You know, like you could easily do that. That's a thing they could have done. But I like worrying about stuff like that. I like not knowing. Carmelo Hayes is great and sold like hell for a lot of the big things that he did. There was a big boot on the outside that looked like it murdered him. I love him getting out of the first deep six.
Yes.
But then walking right into the second one. Very, very good. Very, very good.
This was excellent. I loved the story that got built around here. I alluded to it a little bit earlier, but I felt like there was this has been part bully, part veteran, but Carmelo's not a rookie, right? So you don't have to tell the babyface underdog in the naive idiot babyface that they love to build out. Like, this is different than that. But there was a lot of times here where the veteran experience, I felt like, came into play, where he was just edging out Carmelo and didn't exploit him for looking like an idiot. It was just his style meshed so well with this idea that, like, if I know that if I let Carmelo Hayes get on a run, because he is as good as he is, that I will lose the match. So I'm going to do everything in my power with my big boy moves to keep him from being able to string together any serious offense. And we saw that in the ending too. It was like 10-15, so I figured the ending was coming, but this wasn't like the usual Carmelo type of ending that we get. This was him just getting Baron Corbin's shoulders on the mat. And I think it was wildly productive for both of them. I thought it was a fantastic match. It felt like a big fight feel. I really, really liked what got done here. And I think it went a long way in a great defense for Carmelo and making Baron Corbin feel like the viable threat that he's been telling us he's been for the past few weeks, which is great. That's what more can you ask for out of a wrestling match, right?
It's one of those things where I will not apologize for saying that I wanted something to make me believe that Baron Corbin would not just get steamrolled by anybody who was halfway decent in the ring, considering how they had booked Baron Corbin for a very long time. Because I was right. And also, I fully accept that turning back into the dude he was most successful as, at least in having great matches, could be the catalyst for him to become that force to be reckoned with again. That's a perfectly viable thing you can do. Change of presentation can be enough to make a guy seem like, oh no, you don't want to mess with that dude again.
It could have been more fluid, though, to your point. Like,
100%.
He didn't turn back into the Lone Wolf. They just gave him different gear and music, and he came out as the Lone Wolf. If there was something that alluded to him going back there, because his promos felt more boomery than they did like Lone Wolf the first time around in a weird way.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish they had done that creative work, but I do feel like it feels like there was something disconnected from what happened on the main roster to the NXT thing. Like, it felt like we were headed back to down on his luck Corbin and not this Corbin. So I just am trying to have like a little bit of grace around that too, where I was like, I feel like they just changed plans and maybe things would have gone different otherwise. But love this. This is the best version of Corbin, and it fits. It works for him.
Taylor Cannon says Melo versus Corbin was really good. I need to see that again. I don't know if I need to see it again, but I love that I saw it, and I believe that Baron Corbin, should they choose to keep him in NXT for a while, has some fun stuff to do. It's weird to say, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I look at the Lone Wolf, and then I look at like what Dijak's been doing, and I go, that's that like them just beating the hell out of each other until they realize that they're best friends seems like a really fun thing to do in NXT for a while.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad
like,
at that.
I don't
I've
know.
always felt Corbin should be somebody's heavy. So I'd kind of rather them go in that direction if they're going to do a pairing, but I'm not mad about him and Dijak. That could be a whole hell of a lot of fun.
There's a lot of stuff they can do with this Corbin in NXT. I mean, listen, him just being around and not having anything. If I don't know, let's say Tony D comes out looking for Stacks, and Stacks already bought the services of Baron Corbin to protect him. Tony D versus babyface Tony D having to beat Baron Corbin to get his hands on Stacks feels like something you could do to make that feud seem fun. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do.
That could be very fun.
Oh yes, and Luis saying that now we need to bring back the bruiserweight in London, like his old bruiserweight music.
Okay.
The fur vest he would come out to, like that's what I need. I need the full thing. That's what I need. I do that. And he also says breaking Willow versus is it Julia?
Yes,
Julia
with a G. She's
I-
Italian. She's like Italian Japanese.
I was 98% sure, but I didn't know if it was something like like the last name of Drew Barrymore's character in Wedding Singer.
Julia
Like
Gulia.
Is it Julia Gulia? Anyway, it's happening on July 5th in Japan for the New JPW Strong Women's Title on New Japan Independence Day.
Right? Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, cool. It does say Strog, but I changed it. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I liked it a lot. Yeah, let's get Real Pete done back, and even if it's just for one match in front of his.
You can't give it to me and then take it away again. That'll hurt.
I mean, listen, I think it's more likely they give him to him for one match and then take it away. I think that is possible. But the real final thing is Braun Breakker out of HB Kekaka's office. And he's very angry. You'll find out next week. He's very angry. He's very angry at HBK, and you can't control me. Nobody can control me. Braun Breakker is great.
He even took it out on the cameraman, which is wrong.
He did. Shouldn't do that.
That's just rude. That's assault.
Shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the whole show.
It is the whole show. It's funny because I said at the top, I was like, the highs were really high, the lows were really low. Like, yeah. Like a purse with open paint cans and Von Wagner taking a poop really bad.
The Pro Wrestling Podcast says he was Von-stipated.
Excellent work. Mm-hmm. But Dragon Lee and his main event and setting up the Tyler Bate and Ali match and stuff like that. Like we got some very strong stuff on here. So
Christopher Smith says, did you all know that Rosemary is at a Mexican orphanage with El Generico? I did not know that.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. Jesse Ozog with our final Mafia pun. Finn Balor. The Departed Irishman.
Well played. Very well played.
And Coy Stallings, under the heading of So Anyways, Eddie Kingston, says, I love Eddie Kingston. He's my favorite wrestler. When him and Mox faced off Sunday, I got goosebumps. What was Eddie's reaction like live, Kate, since you were there and everything?
Deafening. While I was there, I tweeted, I don't know, maybe put a title on this guy. I'll say this. From a pay-per-view experience, a live attending at an event experience, this was, because of its unique nature, one of the loudest and most sustained through. Like the noise was so sustained through the matches. Like normally you get like the pops and everybody settles in and watches the matches and react. it was like a rock concert in there the entire time.
Yeah.
Punk got enormous reactions, no surprise there. Eddie got monster reactions. The Canadian flag spot with Ospreay obviously got great reactions, and then Okada and Danielson as well. If you told me that Sting and Jericho would have been like the least reacted to down match, which it definitely was, it's just kind of crazy that you're like, oh, the weak spot on the card was Chris Jericho and Naito back in the ring and Sting. But Eddie got a monster reaction, and the stuff with him and Mox. I said it on Twitter. I think they're going to have one of those sordid histories like Sammy and Kevin and Ciampa and Gargano. Like they're going to have this kind of relationship, and it sounds like I haven't gotten to listen yet, but you went into it pretty deep on Select, but really, really, really. He's one of my favorites too, and there's a lot of people that are rooting for Eddie Kingston in the world, like authentically, which is fun. Yeah. Also, I saw Ishii at the pressure, and him smiling at me remains the funniest thing that has ever happened to me, because it was just like a big smile, and I was like, "You murder people."
Great. Yeah. Corey Stallings also says, "Are you streaming Fight Forever, Alex?" That's my plan. Fight Forever coming out on Thursday. I plan on getting hold of that and finding time this weekend to start my series of everyone on the roster beating the hell out of Chris Jericho. That's just going to be, but also now that I've found out that it is possible for you to give a wrestler all of the title belts and then have them enter for every match wearing all of them at the same time, I'm doing that with Eddie Kingston, and no one can stop me. So that will be a lot of fun.
I have a question about Fight Forever.
Yes.
I've seen 2 iterations of the exploding barbed wire death match.
Yes.
Do you have control over whether you choose it to be a dud or not? It's just random?
Entirely random generated.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And then Jake Salazar says, "Oi, bruv. Sean Ross Sapp across the pond, isn't it?" Yes.
His mate.
Hey, also Roxanne Perez versus Blair Davenport next week because something happened during a social media deal. So getting
NXT Anonymous caught another Blair Davenport beatdown.
Oh no.
Give her a personality, please.
Okay, here we go. The jukebox. Here we go. Starting with, there's only 3 of these. We'll see if anybody throws in some new ones.
No, get them in now. I got my gas tank's empty, guys. Give them all to Alex.
Yeah, no Tiffany ones, only for me. I like this. Roxanne says, "You think this is a game?" Blair, "You think I'm playing, bruv?" That's what Blair sounds like apparently. Okay, Tom Valley wants Tony D to do Henry Hill's opening monologue from Goodfellas. Let's see here. All right, can I get this? Can I get it over here? Oh, there we go. Much better. Over here so I can read it. All right. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. To me, being a gangster was being better than being president of the United States. Even before I first wanted into the cab stand for an after-school job, I knew I wanted to be a part of them. It was there that I knew I belonged. To me, it meant being somebody in the neighborhood that was full of nobodies. They weren't anybody like anybody else. I mean, they did whatever they wanted. They double parked in front of a hydrant, and nobody ever gave them a ticket. In the summer, when they played cards all night, nobody ever played the cops. Tutty Cicero, Tutty ran the cab stand in La Bella Vista Pizzeria for a few other places for his brother Paul, who was the boss over everybody in the neighborhood. Paulie might have moved slow, but it was only because he didn't have to move for anybody. First, my parents loved that I found a job across the street. My father, who was Irish, was sent to work at the age of 11, and he liked that I got myself a job. He always said American kids were spoiled lazy, and my mother was happy after she found out that the Varios came from the same part of Sicily that she did. To my mother, it was the answer to her prayers. Gabagool.
And also
with you. Here we go. Electric Mayhem says, "I don't think we've had a jukebox for this voice yet." We haven't. But I cracked up about it on last night's show. Dumb Idiot Mark, aka DIM, sings Science is Real by They Might Be Giants. So he actually has a name, the character. It's Mel. Mel, actually. Mel, actually, science is real. From the Big Bang to DNA, science is real. From evolution to the Milky Way. I like the stories about angels, unicorns, and elves. Now, I like those stories as much as anyone else, but when I'm seeking knowledge, either simple or abstract, the facts are with science. The facts are with science. Science is real. Science is real. Science is real. Science is real. From anatomy to geology, science is real. From an astrophysics to biology, a scientific theory is just a hunch or a guess. It's more like a question that's been put through a lot of tests. And when a theory emerges consistent with the facts, the proof is with the science. No, actually, the proof is with the science.
And Sean's idiot Mark voice is, well, the proof is with the science. You guys are different ends of the spectrum, and I appreciate it.
Ricardo wants Linder doing no scrubs. We've done that before, but I love it. We'll do it again.
It's so good.
Let's see here. I'm just waiting for Luis, the brilliant Luis, to get me the lyrics.
Luis!
There we go. All right. Here you know what? I'll do that one last. Let's do this one first because we already have it. So this is see here. Beatty B says, in celebration of a new wrestling game releasing this week, could you sing Tenacious D song Video Games? Luis gets to make the choice on the voice, and he has made me do this as Rey Mysterio. Now, I am doing this because Luis is making me.
A Hispanic man, Luis.
He's making me do this. I don't play video games no more. Never play video games, except for a little bit of God of War. Never play video games. Maybe once in a while, a little bit of Fallout. But that's not okay. Not right now. I got things to do. Because I don't play video games no more. I never play video games. But Red Dead Redemption 2, that's not a game. It's an incredible journey through old American history, mijo. Fighting for your life and your family. Your familia. Trying to live your days with honor and integrity. Honor and integrity. That's not a name. That's an adult thing. That's not a game at all, mijo. That's like frigging Shakespeare. You don't want to play video games no more. Tiny bit of video game. Un poquito. But I guess I still play freaking video games. El yeehaw, mijo.
There are parts of it that if I didn't see you on screen, I would think Rey Mysterio was talking. Like it is on. That one is an on. Okay, fine. Ricardo, here we go. The no scrubs from Linda. Hold on, let me get the glasses. There they are. Here we go. Gotta get the bifocals out. Here we go. Oh, hold on. There he is. Okay. A scrub is a guy that thinks he's fly and is also known as the buster. Always talking about what he wants and just sticks on his broke ass. So, no, I don't want your number. And no, I don't want to give you mine. And no, I don't want to meet you nowhere. And no, I don't want none of your time. And no, I don't want no scrub. Scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me, hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. No, I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me, hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. Well, the scrub checking me, but his game is kind of weak, and I know that he cannot approach me because I'm looking like class, and he's looking like trash.
can't get with a deadbeat ass. So, no, I don't want your number. And no, I don't want to give you mine. And no, I don't want to meet you nowhere. And no, I don't want none of your time. No, I don't want no scrub. A scrub's guy can't get no love from me hanging out his passenger side of his best friend's right, trying to holler at me. Can you imagine? Can you imagine trying to holler at me?
These scrubs.
These scrubs.
I don't want no scrubs.
I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me. That's the definition. Look up scrub in the dictionary, and it will say a guy who can't get no love from the Linda. That's what it says. It's right there.
A picture of a guy.
Look it up. Look it up in the thesaurus.
Side.
Scrub, noun. Synonyms. A guy that can't get no love from me. It's very simple. If you don't have a car and you're walking, oh, yes, son, I'm talking to you. If you live at home with your mama, oh, yes, son, I'm talking to you. If you have a shorty that you don't show love to, oh, yes, son, I'm talking to you. Want to get with me with no money? Can you imagine? How are you going to take me to the picture? How are you going to take me to the picture show? Now, also, how are you going to buy me a nice meal at the diner if you have no money?
I am concerned about him living in his mother's house because who you're dating, most of the mothers should, sadly, but probably no longer be with us.
With your broke ass. All right, I think that's it, right?
I don't know how we can end on a better note than Linda saying with your broke ass. Well, this is a very serious wrestling review show, as always.
Allie wants Ricky Rainbow, but I don't have a question. I don't have a request. What's a request? I need a request.
Probably something, maybe garbage. Maybe Lady Gaga. I feel like Ricky Rainbow would call her Gaga. Yeah. Do you have any? Allie, give me. Listen, I want to do this for the last time of Pride on the show, but I don't know. YMCA came in. Okay, this request bring Ricky on now. Didn't even kill the camera. Jeez. Kayfabe is dead, y'all.
Hello, love.
Luis has it.
Oh, here we are. I like this one. It's a song by Europe, which is where I am from. Just the whole continent.
You're just from all of Europe?
Yeah, just everywhere. Barcelona, maybe a little bit of Vienna, Austria, but mostly London.
You sound a lot like my friend Alex's Zack Sabre Jr. impression. It's uncanny.
It's basically the same, you know. All right, here we go. Lyrics here from the great Luis Pulido. Hold on. Can't seem to find my. Where's my cursor? I can't find my cursor. Where are you? Where's the?
Did you smoke your cursor?
There it is. There we are. I couldn't find it because me bangs.
Oh, tell me about it. I know it well.
All right. Here we are. We're leaving together, but still, it's farewell. And maybe we'll come back to Earth. Who can tell? I guess there is no one to blame. We're leaving ground. Leaving ground? Will things ever be the same again? It's the final countdown. The final countdown? We're heading for Venus. And still, we stand tall, because maybe they've seen us and welcome us all. Yeah. With so many light years to go and things to be found, I'm sure that we'll all miss us so. It's the final countdown. And right here is there's a guitar solo. And
can you play it on air guitar? Tanahashi would. Crushing it.
It's been a long time since I picked up the axe and
Sure.
played, but I think I did it some justice.
Dex the X.
Wife is begging for Ricky doing Shake It Off.
Is this Jeremy?
Um,
Are you married to Jeremy? Is Jeremy your wife?
it's not the first time your wife's been begging for it.
Richard Rainbow.
Sorry.
Richard Thomas
it was
Rainbow.
an opening. I had to go there. All right.
Keep talking like that. You're going to get kicked out of the restaurant.
Rest or not.
Restaurant. Sorry.
Yeah, there we are. Okay, here we are. I stay out too late. Oh, I do. Every night I stay out too late. I've got nothing in my brain. That's what they say. That's what people say. Mm-hmm. I'll go on too many dates, but I can't make them stay. No. That's what people say. That's what people say. But I keep cruising. Can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's going to be all right. Because the player's going to play. And the hater's going to hate. Baby, I'm just going to shake it off. I shake it off. Heartbreaker's going to break. And the faker's going to fake. Baby, I'm just going to shake it off. I shake it off. I'll never miss a beat. I'm lightning on my feet, and that's what they don't see. That's what they don't see. I'm dancing on my own. I make up the moves as I go, and that's what they don't know. That's what they don't know. But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop grooving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be all right because the player's gonna play, and the head is gonna hate, and the baby gonna shake, and I shake it off. And the breaker's gonna break, the breaker goes, and the faker's gonna fake. Baby, I'm gonna shake, I'll shake it off. Hey, just think while you be getting down and out about the liars and the dirty cheats of the world, you could have been getting down to this sick beat. My ex-man brought his new girlfriend. She's like, oh my God, but I'm just gonna shake. And to the fella over there with the hella good hair, that's me. Well, you come on over, baby. We can shake. Because the players and the haters and the baby and the fakers and the breakers going to do all their things. And that's the end of the song.
That was beautiful.
I wish all my rainbows a happy Pride Month.
I think it's sweet.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I did the thing you asked, so I did. Thank you. I like it. I like being able to save people's lives. I like being able to save people's lives with me doing the
You're
things.
such an enigma.
I am. You never know anything with me. I might be from Europe, but I might be from elsewhere.
It's either Europe or somewhere else.
You never know. That's the thing about me.
Know.
I'm a mystery wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in an egg roll wrapper, because they're tasty.
They're very tasty.
Anyway, that's it.
Thank you so much for being here and stopping by the show.
You're welcome.
Do you think everything sucks?
Oh, I mean, it has been my experience that everything does suck, at least some of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it does not suck. But then again, it might, because you never know. I might be lying because I'm a mystery wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in an egg roll. Keep cool, gabagools.
Toodles.